Hey, folks. Sunday night, a little about 8:15 my time, and I was freezing. I don't know if I'm getting sick or whatever, but yeah, you can see I'm coughing, so I'm going to try to get through this. Laying here in bed, covered up with, I have a nice thermal blanket, which feels really nice right now because it's like freezing but cold outside. And I don't know why it is, but for some reason, whenever we come get on the bed, Copper thinks it's playtime. he just turns into an absolute nut, don't you? He's laying here beside me. Well, he's wanting to play, but, so we wrestled a little bit, but I'm just not... Oh, I don't have the energy to play tonight. I've been fighting my computer since pretty much since right after lunch. I was going to put out another video tonight, and I finally, just a couple minutes ago, finally gave up because my screen turned white for like the 20th time. You know what that means? Basically, it means it's whatever it is that you're running is crashing. And to be honest with you, it's getting to the point where as much as I like making videos, I'm just to the point of frustration to where it's just not worth dealing with. I may feel better tomorrow, but tonight I am just so frustrated. And so this is probably a podcast that I shouldn't do, simply because I just really feel like opening up tonight. And I don't want to come across as a whiner because, I really don't complain. But, sometimes you just, just Copper and I, and, I can tell Copper about what I'm going through, but he just looks at me and is like, oh, does that mean I get a biscuit? So, you can tell he cares, because he'll come trying to snuggle up against me and stuff, like, you okay, bud? But it's not like having another human to talk to, It's just not the same, As much as I love my doggy, it's not like having somebody else to bounce things off of. So tonight I'm kind of like just pretty much bearing my soul and with all you guys, And I'm sure that we'll catch some criticism from people for some of the things I'm going to say tonight. It's nothing bad against anybody, but just, I'm opening up about things, and, it's not that it's not that I haven't been honest. I've been honest about everything. There's just, there's a lot of things that everybody goes through that you don't just tell everybody, and generally I don't. But I don't know. Tonight I am so frustrated that I need to vent, and I don't have anybody to vent to, so you guys get the brunt of it. But I know a lot of you have been through some stuff too, and some of you have told me your stories via email and stuff, and some over the phone, and and I really do consider a lot of you who've been with me the whole time, I consider you friends, even though I've never met you in person. But that doesn't mean that we're not friends. Just because we haven't met in person doesn't mean that we don't care about each other, and they're genuine friends, I think, you know. I mean, I consider a lot of you friends. I don't know if you consider me a friend. I know some of you do. But, you know, I considered, you know, you guys that have been with me and, you know, constantly make comments and stuff and support me, I consider you friends. You know, and so I think that friends, you can say things to friends that maybe you wouldn't say to someone else who's not a friend. But the one difference is that the things that I'm airing tonight, you know, anybody can listen to, not just my friends. So I know that I'm opening myself up for some things and for some criticism, but it's not like I don't get criticized anyway. So what's one more criticism? You know what I mean? You know, I mean, it's like, you know, no matter what you do, you know, you try to do the right thing, you get criticized. If you do the wrong thing, you get criticized. So, you know, anytime you're in the public eye in any way, you know, you're going to get criticism. That's just the way it is, because you've got people that, I mean, there are people out there who live to criticize. You know, I have known people that it's like they have to have drama in their life or they're not happy. And there are people who can't stand to see anybody else happy. It's like, you know, their friend gets in a relationship. I've seen this happen. Friend gets in a relationship and they try to do everything they can to break it up because the friend is happy and they're not. So, and they want their friend to be miserable just like they are. And so, and sometimes I don't think it's necessarily intentional. I think that they do it subconsciously just because they're unhappy. And they're having a hard time seeing their friend happy and them not happy. Anyway, I'm trying to gather my thoughts together because this is not an easy recording or podcast, or whatever you want to call it. This is not an easy one for me to do because I'm a pretty private person. I keep to myself for the most part. I don't tell people a lot about me. There's a few people who know what I've been through. Like my best friend, Mark, he knows. Of course, my family knew. And other than that, I really don't know of anybody else that I've told any of this to. But I'll tell you what I've been through. Just, and not to complain, but just to kind of give you a baseline of where I'm coming from on all this. Well, back in 2011, I went through a divorce. My ex-wife and I had just sold our house, and we actually made quite a bit of money on it. Well, I don't know how long she had been planning this, but it was obviously that she had done some planning. And she took all of our money and hid it in an account in a bank, which I had no idea which bank it was. And because she opened up the account in just her name, I had no access to it. And she planned it out well because as a result, I had no money. So I couldn't even hire a lawyer. I had no funds to do so. And she took the money and she told everybody that we spent it all, which was not hard for people to believe because she could go through money like nobody's business. After 20 years of marriage, I ended up with less money than I did before I got married. I had a savings account when I got married. I had nothing. One morning, she just came in and she handed me $500. And we'd made about $50,000 on the sale of the house. She came in and handed me $500 and said, you can either go to your mom and dad's or you can go to rescue mission. I don't care. I found out later she had been cheating on me with a married guy. I don't know if she knew that he was married or not. I found out. Well, actually, my mom did. My mom did a little bit of investigation and found out the guy was married with a kid. And he was rich. He owned a lot of commercial real estate, which was right up her alley. She loved money. You know, they say the love of money is the root of all evil. Well, actually, the Bible says that. You know, she proved that theory, right? So anyway, she did that, and so I ended up coming home, which I was 53 years old at the time, and for a 53-year-old man to have to go home and live with mom and dad is rather embarrassing, to say the least. But I didn't really have a whole lot of choice. And anyway, I won't go into a lot of detail, but basically the divorce went through, and I was back pretty much starting from scratch. I ended up going down to Texas, was down there for 8 years. And through some circumstances, I ended up on the streets of Dallas. And that was, the reason being was not really through any doing of my own. It was my body rebelling on me. I ended up in the hospital for like almost 4 months. Ended up having a quadruple bypass. And of course, I had 3 weeks vacation. So after 3 weeks, my income ran out. And I'm still stuck in the hospital. Next thing I know, I'm laying in my hospital room, in my hospital bed, just shortly after having bypass surgery. And in through the door walks the lady that ran the apartment complex I was living at, saying I owed rent. Well, yeah. You know, I hadn't paid it for 2 months because I'd been in the hospital and didn't have any income. I mean, I absolutely had nothing. I mean, nothing. And because I had gone through my vacation time and then was living on savings, and that ran out. And so I basically was, when you say literally penniless, I was. And she's in saying, you owe me rent money. And I'd already owed 2 months at the time. There's not much I could do about it. So I got out of the hospital, tried to go back to work, and they wouldn't let me go back to work. They said I had to have clearance from the doctor, had to have all this paperwork done, and I had no money. And so I had to ask Mom if she could, foot me some money, so at least I could, because it was going to cost me, just $30. I mean, it's not seem like a lot of money to some of you, but when you don't have any, that's a lot of money. And it costs $30 to have the doctor send in the paperwork to the home office of my company. And so she sent in the paperwork twice, and they kept saying they didn't receive it. And so I was like, all right, am I ready to come back to work? And they said, no, they haven't cleared you yet. They haven't received the paperwork. And I said, they faxed it twice. They faxed it, they emailed it, and they kept saying they didn't get it. Well, they had this gal that they hired, she was a real power hungry type. And she'd hired all these. There was a bunch of older people that had been there. One gal been there 25 years. Another guy been there for, 15 years. So I'd been there for 8 years. And she was trying to replace all the old people with these little yes girls. She wanted an office all full of girls. There was several guys that worked there when I first went to work there. And she wanted to fill the office with all these little worshipers, as I called them. And she ended up getting it done. And she got rid of the other people through, just BS type, reasons or whatever. They just fired them. And I could tell she was wanting to get rid of me. So they kept saying that they didn't get the paperwork. I don't see how that was possible. I had to pay $30 twice for my doctor to send in the paperwork that they were requesting. And they're saying that they never got it. Also, I didn't have a vehicle because my car died. So I was having to spend money on Uber to go back and forth from work every day. I come home from work and walked in the door, and there's an eviction notice on the door. I told them, I said, I'll try to get caught up. It's going to take me a while to get caught up on the rent, because I was by that time, by the time I got to the hospital, I was like 3.5 months behind. And over the phone, she said, okay, we'll try to work with you. But I got home and it said I had to be out. This is like right before Christmas. Merry frickin' Christmas. And I got home, it was on the 18th, and I had to be out by the 22nd. And I had a ton of stuff, and I had nobody to help me move it. So I ended up having to leave thousands of dollars worth of stuff. I mean, literally thousands of dollars worth of stuff. I just had to leave it because I had to be out of there. I had no way to move it. So I took a few things that I could. It just makes me sick. All the thousands of dollars worth of, I had guitars, I had, just furniture that I ended up having to leave behind because I didn't have any other choice. They didn't leave me any other choice. I mean, you gave me, I remember by the time, it was like 3 days, I had three and a half days I had to be out of there. And so I ended up having to stay. I went over and stayed at Holiday Inn Express, which was expensive. And I was staying at Airbnbs. And I think I had unemployment income or something. I had income, I don't even remember now. This is back in 2018, 2019. So anyway, I was completely out of money. And so I didn't know where else to go. I was staying at this crummy Motel 6, which was scary. Well, then I ended up on the streets of Dallas. And one night I was trying to find a place to stay, and I got off. I had a guy that it took us like 3 hours to get where we were going, taking the different buses in downtown Dallas. I had no idea where I was going, what I was doing. And so we get down there, and I'm walking down this street, and there's this park kind of over there, and there's these like tents and cardboard houses and stuff. And I mean, this is like the worst part of Dallas. The worst part of Dallas. I don't ever want to go through something like that again. And so I go down to this homeless shelter. And anyway, they came out and said, we don't have any more beds. And here I am in the worst part of Dallas. I have no idea where I am. I don't know. And at this particular point, I was so bad physically that to try to walk anywhere, forget it. And so I'm walking down the sidewalk. I have no idea what I'm going to do. No money, nowhere to go, nowhere to stay. You know, and I'm not used to being homeless. I'm not used to being on the street. It's like, what do I do? And finally, I got to a point where I'm walking down the sidewalk and I couldn't breathe any longer. Well, it turned out I was having a heart attack. And just the stress and the walking and stuff. And I came to a complete stop. And luckily I knew the name of the place where I was at. Otherwise, I wouldn't even have known where to tell the cops to come, or the ambulance. So I stopped and I called 911. Now keep in mind, this is after I'd already been in the hospital for 4 months. And at least this time they took me to the right place. So the ambulance came, picked me up, and then took me to Baylor Hospital there in downtown Dallas. And I tell you what, that was the greatest facility I've ever seen. The treatment that I got there was so wonderful. Everybody was just outstanding. Well, I went in, they took me into the ER, and the ER doctor's in there checking me out and stuff like that, and he says, no, you're checking out okay. He says, I'm just gonna send you home. And I'm thinking, I ain't got no home to go to. I'm gonna be in the same boat I was before I come in here. And so I was like, I don't really think that's a good idea, and so I kind of talked him out of discharging me right off the bat, and it's a good thing that I did. Because he was like, I don't see any problem. Well, they ended up admitting me. And then after seeing the heart specialists and the cardiac doctors and stuff, it turned out I had 100% blockage in one artery and 90% in the other. So I'm really glad I talked him out of sending me home, because I'd have been in deep trouble. Well, anyway, I make a long story short, I ended up having quadruple bypass surgery, and that's after that is when I tried to go back to work, and they wouldn't let me. They kept making excuses. No, I didn't get the paperwork. So at that point, I didn't know what else to do, so Mom bought me a bus ticket, and I came home. No money, and so, and that's basically the way I was for a while. I ended up getting a little bit of unemployment, so I did have a little money to operate with, and I was, like I was living here for free. Mom was still alive, of course, in 2019. She died in 2020. And so I didn't have any money until, I think it was a year ago, January, I ended up getting Social Security. I tried to go back to work, and I worked for probably, I don't know, I don't even know, 8 months, something like that, maybe. And they ended up changing the rules. And I'm not going to go into detail, but physically, because of what I have to do with my heart condition, I couldn't continue working. So then there was another like 2 months period or 3 month period, something like that. I don't even remember, where I had no income. And that's when I, did the GoFundMe thing, because here it was January. I needed heat. I needed water. I needed electricity. And I had no money. So I started to GoFundMe, and I never received anything. Now, I did have somebody donate here, a few months ago, and I really appreciated that. But back then, so, and this was in January. Well, my Social Security started in February. So I was behind on everything, and to be honest with you, I've been playing catch up ever since. And it's been something else. And anyway, I'm going to put this on pause, and I'll continue the story when I get back. Okay, I'm back. Where was I? I don't even remember. I said I came home. Oh yeah, and I'd work, and then my Social Security kicked in. So that's what I've been living on. And what I'm hoping, here's what I would like to do. I would really like to get into making movies. Now, you're probably going to think, what an idiot. But I decided to go with the Adobe package, which I ended up getting for half price because I started my free trial and I realized that there's no way I could afford it. And so I got a hold of Adobe, and they ended up giving it to me for 20 something a month instead of 50 something a month. So I got that, downloaded everything. And as it turns out of all the programs that are wonderful programs, I mean, there's programs you can use there's one program named After Effects that you can, make cinematic type, I mean, just like real movies, effects and stuff like that. But I can't run anything on my computer. There's the one character animator, and I can run the what they call the free version, which is how I made some of the videos with the characters and the scenes and stuff like that. But I can't run the pro version because it just locks up my computer and freezes it up, so I can't even use that. That's one of the programs that takes the least amount of memory. Photoshop, I tried opening it up, and it comes on, first thing it does is pop up these messages saying that my system won't run it. After Effects, same thing. Adobe Illustrator, to do the artwork, same thing. It pops up, says I can't run it. And so it's been very, very frustrating, very depressing. Because I know how to do a lot of the stuff in there. It's just that I can't run it. And it's just, I can't tell you how frustrating and I mean, can't even think of the words to describe how frustrating it is to I have these programs and I can't run them, and I'm paying for them. Which is, probably some of you thinking, hey, dummy, you shouldn't have done. But, I didn't, excuse me, I didn't realize, because I had read some articles and stuff on it, and they said, no, well, the thing is, most of these programs, to run well, to do everything that you can do in them, you need 16 gigs of RAM, which RAM is the amount of memory that your computer has. And, of course, my crappy computer, which, I'll tell you how great a computer it is, I got it like 2.5 years ago. It was the only thing I could afford. And I got it from Walmart. It was like a refurbished computer from Walmart, that I got through the mail order through Walmart. It cost me a whopping $172. Which, if you know anything about computers, you're not going to get much of a computer for $172. And of course, laptops don't last a whole real long time anyway, especially cheapy refurbished ones. And so, mine's just dying. There's things I want to do. There's programs that, because I've been trying to learn this one program, and I figured I could run it, and even it's been locking up on me, and it is like the lightest program of the bunch. And I can't even hardly run it. It's taken me, I did a video, I don't think it was last week, I think it was a couple weeks ago. I started working on it at 5 in the morning. I've been getting up, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning and working on stuff and studying and trying to learn stuff and just. But I started at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I think I finally got it uploaded around 7 that evening. Now, with a decent computer, I'd have had it uploaded by 7 in the morning. All right, and I'm not exaggerating. Because I can't tell you the number of times that I have to, I'll get in a program and lock it up. I'll have to power down my computer, turn it off manually, then turn it back on. I do that so many times a day, it's not even funny, just to, try to do just the basic minimal stuff that I do. Nothing fancy. And even like my video editor program, it's like it has different things in it that when I try to run it, it basically pops up a message saying your system's not capable of running this aspect of it. And it's to the point where I'm just ready to, I was going to say pull my hair out, but I ain't got any. So so I've already pulled it out. But it's to the point where, I don't know what to do, because it's like I'm not getting that much from Social Security. In fact, to be honest with you, and this is, really making myself vulnerable saying this, but I'm just being honest with you. Most months, I don't end up in the red in my checking account. In fact, last month, by the time payday come around, I was minus 40 in my checking account. And I don't buy anything extravagant. In fact, basically all I buy is groceries, dog food, and maybe toilet paper and paper towels. That's about it. I don't eat out. I can't remember the last time, but actually no, I do remember the last time. A couple of weeks ago, Mark actually took me. We went over to Burger King, and I told him, I said, "This is the first time I've eaten out in 2 months." And I eat a lot of ramen. Stuff like that. I don't buy steaks. I don't buy anything that, I try to get by as frugally as I can. And even at that, but part of the problem is this house is so big. The utility bills are just astronomical. It's like last month, my gas bill, heat bill was $400. And that's keeping it at 62. But utilities are just so expensive anymore, especially the intermittent gas. It's crazy. Can't believe how much they charge. And I haven't even been running the heat in the TV room and office, whatever you want to call it, where I have my computer and my TV and where I tape most of my videos. I haven't even turned the heat on in there for like 2.5 months, 3 months. I don't even use it because it's like my gas bill's already big enough without running that gas fireplace in there to heat it. And so, I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do? I have these dreams. Hoping that I could maybe get something going to where I put out some videos and stuff that I could get paid for, like, movie type videos or whatever. I don't know. But I can't do it because I can't run the software that I need to run in order to produce anything of any quality that I could make any money on. And so, I don't want to come across like Jeff, and be asking for money and stuff like that. But at the same time, I don't know what else to do. I put in a lot of hours doing these videos, and of course there'll be people out there who say, yeah, we're not telling you to make them, it's like, yeah, I know it, but I'm doing it for all you guys, and I try to come up with things that are funny or informative or, I don't know. I try to provide a variety of different things, and maybe I'm trying to do too many things, but I just want to put out something that will be enjoyable for you guys, and maybe, like some of these videos I've been doing lately, try to make you laugh. Some of you like them, some of you don't, but I try to, I try to come up with something that's entertaining, but, and like I said, I don't want to be like Jeff, but at the same time, I'm thinking, how in the world am I going to buy a new computer when I'm just buying basic groceries and paying utility bills and still ending up in the red most months? Now, I'm usually in the negative by the time payday rolls around because I don't get that much from Social Security. And it's like my vehicle's falling apart. I don't have the money to fix it. I don't know how much longer it's going to keep going. It's got this thump, 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 and I don't know. Mark thinks that, my friend, he thinks it might be an alignment issue. It could be a U-joint. But, it's like, okay, how am I going to get that fixed? My sisters are trying to screw me over. We have the money that we got from Mom, but she made my sister the executor. Of course, both my sisters about half nuts. Both of them been in mental hospitals. And my one sister, who's the executor, she's nuts. And for some reason, they've got it in their head that I'm the bad guy, even though I'm the one they always call whenever they need something, that, they need something fixed or they need this or that, and I'm always going over there and helping them. But yet I'm the bad guy, and I don't know why. It's just something that they got in their head because they're both nuts. Like I said, both of them been in mental hospitals. And so they're trying to screw me over and trying to screw me out of the money. And I told my sister, I said, I need some. And I said, you got to remember, that's my money too. And I need to get my vehicle fixed, before it falls apart. And they're trying to kick me out of the house. And I said, well, then you better give me the money to get my vehicle fixed, because right now I can't go anywhere. I drive around town, but I'd be afraid to take it on the road anywhere. Afraid to end up alongside the road and then not have the money to get it fixed. So as you can see, I'm very frustrated right now. I got a lot of things that I'm dealing with, and what you doing, Copper? Yeah, he's getting antsy for some reason. But anyway, like I said, I don't want to be like Jeff, but at least I'm being honest. I mean, if any of you do want to help me out, help me get a new computer. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's a stupid request, but I really want to be able to do what I want to do, and I'd be able to put out a lot better videos. Not that matters. I know a lot of you say, oh, you're fine the way you are, which yeah, I can see that. But the thing is, I would really like to get to the point where I could get some income coming in by, doing some graphic design work and stuff like that, but I can't run any of the software. And even the other brands that I've tried, like some, the open source, free software, it's like some of that I can't even run. And it's, even the really light stuff, I can't run it. And so, I hate to come on here and asking for money, but at the same time, I honestly don't know where to turn. I mean, I've had to borrow money from Mark, and I still owe him money that I haven't been able to pay him back, because, and he understands, he knows that, and he's like, hey, whenever you have it, don't worry about it. But it's still, I feel bad, because I don't like owing someone money and not being able to pay them. It makes me feel bad. But, and some of you may think, wow, you're, more different than I thought you were. Well, like I say, I'm opening myself up for criticism and being maybe too vulnerable or whatever. But I just really felt I wanted to share that. And I really, I don't know. I hate to ask people for money, but I don't know what else to do. I don't know where else to turn. So anyway, forgive me for my too openness tonight, but that's where I'm at. And so some of you, maybe you feel led to help, and don't feel bad if you can't or you don't want to. I don't expect anybody to. I just figured sometimes you don't receive unless you ask, And I don't want, like I said, I don't want to be perceived, because I know some people will be like, hey, it's just like Jeff. No, I'm being honest. I'm being upfront. I'm being honest. I'm not saying, oh yeah, I need some money for my cat, or I need some money for, to hire a PI and then spend it, and then saying to spend it on my fake cat. I'm being totally upfront and honest. I mean, you guys have heard me complain about my computer before, but it's getting worse all the time. It's worse than it was a month ago. I mean, there's things now that I was running a month ago that they're freezing up and won't even run now. And like I say, for a $172 computer, it's lasted 2.5 years, which actually isn't too bad. Because I've had better laptops, a lot more expensive laptops in the past that didn't last 2 years. So, anyway, Anyway, I hate to sound like I'm whining, but it's just, I don't know. Today, it's been one of those days I've been, really down in the dumps, I guess, kind of, and it's to the point that, something's got to change. I've got to be able to head in a certain direction, and the thing is, to buy a computer that I need, it'd take, probably over 2 months' income to do it. And when you're ending up in the red every month, it's going to be kind of hard to do that. So anyway, I apologize if I've been too open. I just, I don't know what else to say, honestly. Other than I just wanted to kind of open my soul to you tonight, and just kind of, anyway, I'm at a loss for words, which doesn't happen very often. But I really debated doing this. I really debated doing this broadcast. But I figured I'd, at least try. I don't know how to put it. I don't like asking for anything. I really don't. And if you understood how hard it was for me to make this tonight, it was very, very hard. So anyway, I hope you all have a blessed evening, and we'll talk to you when I talk to you. Take care.